TNA Wrestling, the three-letter wrestling company that gives many wrestling fans, like myself, flashbacks to legendary wrestlers like Sting, Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, Abyss, Jarrett, Beer Money, RVD, Christopher Daniels, and legit so many other guys. Also, can't forget the insanely creative, innovative matches like Ultimate X, Lethal Lockdown, and King of the Mountain. TNA Wrestling was founded in 2002, shortly after the collapse and purchase of ECW and WCW. Jeff Jarrett and his father, Jerry, looked to capitalize off there being really nobody else in the industry besides the WWE, as there were small indies such as ROH forming, but as far as being on TV and being somewhat known to the average fan, WWE was really the only place out there. Until November of 2006, where TNA and their talented roster, after putting in 4 years of hard work, finally got rewarded with a spot on primetime television with Spike TV. The 2-hour special saw a very nice card that consisted of a Dudley's Boys table match, an X Division triple threat, a barbed wire steel cage, and to cap it all off in the main event, we have a freshly debuting Kurt Angle having his first match ever against the monster Abyss. So yeah, this card was stacked. The show opens up with pyro, followed by a shit ton of confetti, which led to LAX coming out to deliver a promo that for today's standards is pretty nutty. After going on about not being treated fairly compared to the other white wrestlers, LAX would threaten to burn the USA's flag. Till America's Most Wanted came out. The two teams would instantly start brawling, with AMW getting the upper hand in what was a very fun opening segment. Afterwards, it was time for the table match. The Dudleys versus the Naturals. And if you don't know who the Naturals are, they were a pretty young tag team in the early days of TNA. They became associated with Chris Candido, who unfortunately passed away after complications from a surgery that was supposed to fix a broken ankle. After Chris's death, the franchise Shane Douglas would take the young team under his wing, vowing to never stop until the Naturals won gold. Spoiler alert, that never happens. After some quick and out-the-gate crowd brawling, Shane Douglas would sacrifice himself by getting 3D'd, which opened up the door for the Naturals to hit a 3D of their own, and put Devon through a table, winning the tables match after 3 minutes. Next up was the barbed wire steel cage match between Christian Cage and Rhino, which turned out to be a very good match. Rhino starts the match off pretty aggressive, throwing Christian around the cage, making him bleed buckets. After more back and forth, the two would end up on the ropes, battling it out. Rhino would fall down, then Christian would hit a frog splash. Good stuff here. Following the commercial, Christian would grab bolt cutters, hit Rhino, and cut off a strip of the barbed wire, leaving an exit at the top. But unlucky for him, Rhino was up and ready to cause damage. After climbing up the cage, Rhino would hit Christian with a mean-ass back suplex. Instead of pinning Christian, Rhino would look to put a straitjacket on him. Christian would counter, then look to escape once again, but this time, he was one step ahead. After an eye poke, Christian delivered a nice looking kill switch off the top rope. Now, it was time for him to use the straitjacket on Rhino, which Rhino countered. He would then set up 2 chairs and hit another crazy looking move on Christian, and it looked like Rhino was about to win, until this happened. Christian would get speared through the door, automatically making him the winner, in what was a phenomenal match, and pretty much pay-per-view quality. Definitely worth checking out. The next match was for the X Division title, Chris Sabin vs AJ Styles vs Christopher Daniels. And on paper, this match looks incredible, which is why it baffles me how underwhelming it was. Don't get me wrong, these wrestlers pulled off some pretty nice moves, but I think it ultimately suffers from being way too short and feeling a bit rushed. The match ended up being only 5 minutes, and it ends with Christian coming out to distract AJ, which leads to Daniels rolling up Sabin to become the new X Division champ. After the match, AJ would come back down and is kinda upset with Daniels. AJ would end up turning heel a few weeks later, joining Christian's coalition. Now, it was time for the main event, Kurt Angle's TNA Wrestling debut, which ended up being nothing short of great. Literally before the match started, fans were chanting TNA. Kurt would look to utilize his wrestling in this match and really work the leg of Abyss, until Abyss hit a sick backbreaker that shut down all of that. After some fighting outside and a thumbtack tease, Kurt would hit 3 Germans in a row, which absolutely folded Abyss. After getting hype and trying to pull off the angle slam, Kurt would get caught with a black hole slam, but only for a 2. Afterwards, Abyss would try to chokeslam Kurt, which Kurt beautifully countered into an ankle lock, which Abyss tapped out to. We then see Joe attack Kurt, ending the show with this visual.